If there's something that we think that if it gives us an advantage in a certain field, maybe during the game, but a lot of it, you look at it and you maybe look at a history of what tempo may have done to somebody. You may just see, hey, we're moving the ball pretty well. We can get in a tempo. There's a lot of factors. I mean, it could even be the weather. It's hot, or we'd like this matchup, but we think we're getting this call. So there's a lot of factors that play into it, and we decide to go in and out of it.
It seems like it really creates a sense of urgency for Marcus. Is that something that you guys have talked about and have discussed possibly doing more of?
Well, we can do it at any time in any game. And some games, just go back the last couple of years. There's some games where we used it at the end of the Kansas City game a couple of years ago, the one where Suckup kicked the field goal and it was like minus 50. And it worked in the fourth quarter. We've gone in other games where we said, hey, we're going to go in early, and it's stalled out, and we've gone 2, 3 and outs, and we've had to change course. It just depends on the game, and it depends how guys are playing. And a lot of it is momentum sometimes in tempo. You get something started, jump-started, and you stay on track.
When you guys are refining that week's offensive game plan, how much insight, and maybe more specifically, is Mike able to help you fine-tune things?
There's a lot of it. We've got a good staff, and Braves will come in, and he and I will talk, and we look at certain things from teams, or there's a lot of things, a lot of discussions. But everybody has input on the offensive staff, and Braves certainly does a good job as well. And we communicate all the time about different things.
Mike's been bullish in trying to get Davis on the field. Obviously, you guys drafted him for a reason.
Right.
What can he give you guys in that position?
Well, Nate's going to continue to work, and there's a plan in place for him, and there's a couple of different moving pieces, but we're just hopefully Nate continues to have progress, and we'll see when the time's right.
What about his skill set, though? Do you view as third-round pick? I mean, obviously you guys have big
Sure.
plans for him.
Yeah, no, but a lot of these guys, once they get here, Nate's also missed a lot of time, so it was unfortunate, and we have different moving pieces, and Jamil had to play in there week 1, and Pamp obviously hasn't been up the last couple of weeks. So as we get going, as Nate works himself back in, we'll see, and it could change week to week. It just all depends on who's up and who's down, and there's a lot of things and a lot of those factors, and so we'll see.
What are ways, Arthur, I guess you get the offense, and Marcus in particular, maybe to start faster? Obviously, he played well second half, maybe a little slow out of the gate. How do you get that going?
Everything's different. We hit the shot early in the first drive in Cleveland, and we're able to go down, and we end up just with a field goal. Obviously, Indy didn't work that way, right? We ended up punting early. And last week, obviously, we really a lot of times last week, and Jacksonville did a good job, and that's an area where we got to break through. We get across this 50. We got to stop hitting ourselves with self-inflicted wounds.
What do you expect, sort of the domino effect, assuming Taylor is back next week? Like, not only him being able to block, but maybe some other guys doing less things in terms of chipping and things like that.
Yeah, no, we've certainly been conscientious about where our issues have been or what our matchups are, and when Taylor comes back, it depends on the game and who we're playing and who our matchup are, and we can certainly change things in that regard.
How much of the issues in Jacksonville you think that were game script and the fact that you fell behind and maybe had to do some things you wouldn't want to do otherwise?
Well, that only really comes to play in the fourth quarter when you get down, when it became a 17-0 game. Obviously, at that point, you're saying you only have a few more possessions to go, and you're going to get into some kind of 2-minute or tempo operation. And obviously, with a team like Jacksonville, they're well built. That's their baby. They got really good front four. They got a good defense they're going with. But when you're playing behind and you get late, it certainly can take you out of some things. I try to stay on track. Obviously, we missed the opportunity coming out of the second half, and that would have made it a 14-7 game, and then you're just playing normal ball. But there's certain things. There's a fine line. You don't want to. And every coordinator is different. Some teams are different. And we've gotten into games a couple years ago. We were out when there was still the San Diego Chargers, and we got into a shootout and played 2-minute most of the game because we got down quick and we had to go. But you got to make that call on the way the whole game's going for all three phases.
What's the key offer? Just not becoming predictable when it comes to play calls.
In what regards to that?
Well, in terms of them being able to anticipate some sort of stuff, and do you think you've done a good job with sort of disguising things?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question, but in certain games, obviously, we don't run the same things week to week formationally. I think when you get into these game plans, and we self-scout just probably what every other team does, and we look at those things, and we move personnel, and we break tendencies all the time. So is there a specific incident you're talking about?
Well, I mean, I guess I was curious about a 2nd and 20 run to Dion Lewis. Was that?
There's a lot of factors. Yeah, we've got 2 runs on 2nd long. Most of them have been more passes. But in that one, there's a couple variables at play. A lot of times those aren't necessarily just that's the play call. We'll package plays and certain looks. So that's how those things, getting those.
How much, Arthur, I guess, do guys earn more opportunities if they're successful when the ball's thrown away? And then on the flip side, if you have a guy that drops a pass here or there, are you less likely to go back to him, or do you trust what you've seen?
You don't want to. I mean, if a guy drops a ball, I mean, it's unfortunate. You don't want it to happen, but you don't want to sit there and lose confidence and crush a guy for one thing and act like it's a catastrophic mistake. We believe in those guys that are out there, and we'll keep calling their number. It just if something become a problem, that would be the one thing. But I think a lot of times it's easy to overreact, and a guy makes one mistake, and then it's like, oh, this will never work again. We're not going to panic and make some catastrophe. Now, if somebody has a pattern, certainly you got to fix things or move in another direction.
One set of analytics that says Marcus, when he's being pressured, gets sacked at a higher rate than any of the other quarterbacks. Do you see any evidence of that? Is that something that you're, is it?
Well, based on this year, I mean, that's in those things too. Is that when are they defining pressures? And some of those you're saying ads, and so I know there's analytic side, and it's probably one of the harder things to define. But certainly, if you see it right now, 5 guys are coming, you can analyze it as a pressure. A lot of times, they may hug your back if it's still in protection, and they may break it down as a pressure, and if hold the ball, I could say those could skew the stats. Jacksonville certainly tried to bring pressure. That wasn't our issue there. We had a couple checks. Obviously, we had the penalty, the one we converted. But we look at that every week. And so we'll see what their plan is on Sunday.
Coach, going off that, the Falcons defense is only allowing 2.8 yards per carry and first down. What pressure, if any, does that put on Mariota in this passing offense?
Well, you're still early in the season, and we feel like we've got a pretty balanced attack. And certainly, we're not going to sit there and try to beat our head on the wall if something's not working. But we feel pretty good about where we are being balanced, and we'll see what the matchups are and see how it goes on Sunday.